And so it depends on the individual.
And that ties in with another question: can a tamasic state of mind cause too much lack of ambition? Exactly, and possibly would cultivating ambition at that point be a healthy balancing? And if you're defining ambition without separating yourself out from others, but if you can define ambition as something that is something that propels you ahead, but also leaves you deeply connected, then yeah, that could, kind of boot you out of the tamasic.
Yeah, so if you look at the dull, stuck state of tamas as being perhaps even excessively idolatrous, this is it, that's it. And you're just sitting there, and then part of your own mind, and then probably part of a lot of other people around you who know you, they're saying, there's a little more to it. And that would be then the dialogue getting started of the rajas, back and forth. And so the rajasic is going to open up opportunity. And of course, be aware of that. And so, but to actually see the rajasic in action is sattvic. And so you don't try to suppress, in the practice of yoga, you don't try to suppress the rajasic or the tamasic, but you just go, because all of these states of mind are considered sacred. And so if you're mindful while they arise.
Which is, it's kind of leads to this, we have two more questions, I think.
Good, yeah.
So how do you develop, how do you release and let go of ambition? And that's, assuming you need to, assuming it has become something negative, that has, the ego trailing alongside or propelling it. And how do you develop that skill? And it really is, it begins with just noticing motivation behind the ambition is, and noticing if the ambition is doing damage to you or to someone else. And once you notice that, then if you're a nice person, and probably you are, then you find the path to practice tyag with it a little bit, to set it aside.
Yeah.
And then it was a great question, how do we cultivate the ability to yield and let go and revel in the pleasure that results from letting go? And that answers itself, is that when you let go and you feel how good it feels to do that, and juxtapose it with when your leg popped off and you were trying to put it behind your head, then that's how you do it, is really look at it openly and recognize, the good feeling of letting go.
If we say the pleasure of letting go, you have to know that we're using the word pleasure not as simply a pleasant sensation, but as something deeper. It's a metaphor. And this comes from that sense of sharing with Sangha, in other words, other beings, possibly even human beings, but we'll take any being. That sense of sharing gives you that sense of, wow, it's a kind of an indescribable pleasure that doesn't fall under the category of just being an impermanent object of pleasure that you get attached to. And so it takes the community of all other beings to really get that sense of deeper pleasure, satisfaction.
And to bear in mind that pleasure and desire are not inherently negative, which leads to the last question. And it's, how do you deal with desire?
Desire, I think, is a natural part of the mind. And so let's say I desire to be enlightened. Okay. And when you're practicing, that you'll notice that desire. I desire, or perhaps worse, I desire to reign over the universe and have all beings for breakfast on a daily basis, which means you got to be reborn as cereal constantly for me. But the fact that that's just part of manifesting in time and space, and is, a kind of desire. Even I desire liberation. Well, that's a kind of mental construction which you have to have an idea of what liberation is, but you've got it. You've got space and time, the mind manifesting. And so you have to see that desire it's separating the object of desire out, but desire in and of itself as a phenomenon is quite a nice vibration. It's just that when there's a subject and object, that it becomes infinite suffering. So you can't live with it, you can't live without it. So the manifestation of space and time, which is the process of avidya, or confusion, is sacred. And it's experienced as, when you see that there's no one in there, then there's that sense of happiness and release.
Mm-hmm.